It's your weekly fix of Fort Wayne FC news, reactions, analysis, the stories that matter. We celebrate the game. We elevate the conversation. This is Fort Wayne Footy.
Fort Wayne drops their first league match at the Roo this week, and to my I had to correct myself, their fourth loss in a row this weekend. I thought it was just their third. Micah had to correct me on this one. But it's been a rough stretch of games for Fort Wayne FC here of late. And they did it this week in front of a crowd of 4,090 people, which surprised me. The place continues to fill up. And so we're excited about that. There was a lot of action in the Hive this weekend. Our friend Ash Ward, I believe, is already in the chat saying good evening. Had a TIFO made, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. And the big news this week was Fort Wayne FC's all-time leading scorer at this point, Lilian Ricol.
I think he's tied. Yeah, him and Tag are tied.
Yeah, across all competitions. Leaves for San Antonio FC of the USL Championship. It's a move that maybe we were a little worried about that could happen in the future. No one really expected it to happen this first year, midway through the season. So tonight we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the international transfer window and how we deal with this as fans when some of our favorite players, our star players, end up leaving our team to go elsewhere and play. We're excited for them, but sad for us as we pick up pieces and regroup and reload in Fort Wayne. We have some tickets to give away later in the show as well. We'll drop a link in the chat to the next home game, September 2nd at the Roo against Richmond Kickers. My name's Brian, hosting the show tonight here with Anthony Anzini and Micah Middendorf. I know you guys have been locked in on some high school soccer this weekend and even tonight as we talk. Anthony, how you doing?
Doing pretty well, Brian. It's nice to be back. You are not lying. I've been locked in for a while now with the high school game. So, yeah, it's nice to be back. It's fun to talk to you guys.
Yeah, and you played this weekend. Is that right?
We had no, actually, we were off this weekend. We
okay.
Do anything. It's been, man, I could go on that one for a while. It's been a killer for us. The weather. We've trained a few times. So yeah. We play tomorrow, Blackhawk Christian first game. That'll be a fun one. Ooh,
if I would have watched last night's show all the way through, I probably would have known that, right? Although I found out later that I was picked on quite a bit there at the beginning of that show. I had to go back and watch that one. So if you are interested in some high school soccer, check out the 260 Soccer Show that aired last night, part 2 of the high school preview season. Micah, you're back tonight. I know you've been coaching. Your son's maybe playing right now or just finished the game. How are you doing tonight?
Yeah, it never ends. Like Anthony said, we've been locked in for a long while. Cool thing about Indiana soccer is that we started locking in June? And we just rolled that right into the fall season and maintain that momentum. So we haven't had any matches yet, but we open up on Wednesday at Norwell. So super excited. Luca has his home opener tonight against Canterbury, and when I left, they were losing 2-1. And I'll tell you, Canterbury, I think they're going to be a sneaky little team this year. They're super young, got some good young players coming in. So I think, Anthony, you have them on Thursday. So
we do. We have them Thursday. We'll tell you.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So they were not a team that I saw coming this year. So we'll save a lot of that talk for the 260 Soccer Show. We know high school is off and running. Homestead played this weekend and got a draw 2-2 in the last 3 seconds of the game. Was an exciting finish out there. We are going to have a ticket giveaway, which I mentioned. I have a link that I am dropping in the chat right now. This is for the Wednesday, September 2nd match at the Roo against Richmond Kickers. And we have a little bit more time to give tickets away. Normally we start this on Monday night and we go until Wednesday noon. And we have a handful of people enter. We've got people following us on Instagram and Facebook. Those are all ways you can enter to win the tickets to the match each and every week, presented by RNT Tree experts who have purchased these tickets and allow us to give them away here on the show. But this time we've got more time to give tickets away. So we're going to spend some time with this link up. We're going to continue to promote it. And here's what we ask. If you're a fan of the show and you're watching right now, would you share what you're watching with a friend? Share our YouTube link, invite someone to subscribe. We're at like 349 subscribers right now. It would be great to get us over 400 before the end of this ticket giveaway. So if you are listening to the show and you're a fan of the show, just share the link. And there's a little share button there. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and invite a friend to subscribe to the channel with you. With that, we're going to jump into our cheers and jeers of the week. I see we may have some high school content in here. We may have some Fort Wayne FC content in here. And we have all sorts of content in here from Three Rivers Regiment already in the chat that we'll throw up here on the screen very shortly. Anthony, kick us off on tonight's cheers and jeers.
Absolutely. So cheers, Brian. Yep, you got me. Actually, my first cheer is Silas Sharp. He's family. He plays for Canterbury. They're playing Concordia right now. Had his first high school goal. That was really cool to see. And like Micah said, young talent in the city. He's definitely one of them. So that's just, a nice little family shout out. And then Luca, he buried a PK today. That was awesome. So yeah, just local love.
Luca, who's Luca?
Right? Yeah, Luca.
I may know him. Yeah.
Oh,
he may live with Micah. He may live there.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. I see. No, that's awesome. Yeah, Silas is a great young player. Played on the U.S. Youth National Futsal team, I believe, a couple times, and had some other accolades there. And Luca is a strong player in his own right as well, playing with Fort Wayne Sport Club and Concordia out there. So congrats to those two. Yeah.
Yes, and then jeers. I feel like I've used this a couple times, but I mean, there's just so much going on, and I don't know if it's because I'm involved with too many teams and too much. Okay, but there's too much to keep up with everything. Especially with high school games actually starting now in Summit City Sports. Man, that's just going to be on all the time. So it's like the World Cup again in this house. So yeah, it's a bad jeer to have, but you know what? It's all right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, are you announcing you're retiring from the show or what? Like too much going on? You got to get rid of something? Is that what we're saying here, Anthony? Or like, should I be nervous about this?
If I had to get rid of something, it wouldn't be this, Brian. It wouldn't be this. This is
okay. Good. Love to hear that. All right, Micah, cheers and jeers.
Let's give a shout out to Ryan Betcher. We sell our leading scorer. He comes up big, gets the goal on the weekend, which makes me not so much afraid of our life post Lilian.
Right.
And that could have been the plan all along, that Lilian was on the market because we had players ready to step in. So yeah, shout out to Ryan Betcher. Super encouraging for the club that he was able to step up.
Yeah. No, he was a great player. He stepped in at some really important moments against Madison late in the game, scoring a late goal to draw there. And then this one, getting the first one in Chattanooga, and he's had a couple of other goals in really significant moments. So good to see him on the scoreboard first this last Saturday. Yeah,
I feel since his injury, he hasn't really had much of an opportunity. I think he's kind of been second string to Lilian, but I think there's hope. I think it's a huge bright spot for the club. And then my jeers, this losing streak, man, 4 straight losses. It's not catastrophic especially where we're sitting at the table. We're still within a shout of playoffs, but the margin for error is just getting smaller and smaller with every match. So we got to find a way to turn this around.
Yeah. Would you say we're a streaky team?
I mean, yeah, the data says so.
11 straight.
We go 11 straight and then 4 down. So I think it's, we'll talk about it later, but I don't think all in all the play is bad, but the results don't feel good.
Agreed. I think that's a good statement. The results aren't great, but the games are actually competitive. And we'll see, like you said, a little bit later, Fort Wayne's winning in a lot of stat categories. in a lot of these matches. And so, yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's go to the chat. These cheers and jeers we have out here. Cheers from Brandon Spice. The Hive was absolutely buzzing this week. Amazing job, everyone. We've got the Hive was absolutely bouncing Saturday. So they're buzzing and bouncing out there in the Hive. No, they sounded great. I was joking with Ash here in the chat last night. Not really joking, but having a good conversation. My parents were in from Cincinnati and have been to other games where there's a lot of cheering and a lot of noise. And Mom was like, "Man, I'm really impressed. They're really loud. Like I didn't expect that from a USL League One team, a USL League One stadium. The stadium was awesome. Everybody was loud. The Hive was incredible. It was pretty awesome there. So they unveiled the In Mike We Trust banner, which was awesome. Well done, Ash and team that were behind that. Very cool. Cheers to everyone who participated in Spokane fundraiser, helping Three Rivers Regiment raise $821 to send out to Spokane for wildfire relief out there. Jeers to allowing the Red Wolves to train the day before the game at the Roo. Our fortress should not allow opposition to get comfortable. I actually didn't know that. That's interesting. That the opposing team was there to train. Now, I imagine we've done the same thing in other places, so it's probably a friendly thing to do. But I don't know. Is that normal?
Yeah, I would have loved to see them train out at like Kruger Park or something like that, like some playground, and just say that this is all we got, right? Like there's so much rain, we don't have anywhere else to put you guys. But that's just me. Maybe I'm the jerk that tries to get the leg up on any competition. So
you probably are. Yeah, you probably are. Brandon Spice says, "Cheers to the officiating crew having what appeared to be their first ever match this Saturday." You know, we could talk about that, and maybe we'll get into that a little bit later in the match, or in the show tonight. They did allow things to get a little out of hand. There were a lot of cards flying late in the game because maybe they let some things go early on. But I have some things to say about that too. But I want to start with my cheers. Cheers this week for me was co-hosting the morning kick around with Rob Kerr last Friday. That was a ton of fun. If you're not familiar with morning kick around, it's a soccer show. They do live 3 days a week, 3 mornings a week on their YouTube channel, just morning kick around. They cover U.S. soccer of all leagues. We specifically talked about USL League One. What is USL League One? The history of USL League One. How does Fort Wayne fit into USL League One this season? We talked about the Gainbridge Super League and the women's league that they flipped their calendars. We talked about MLS Leagues Cup. Like, it was a ton of fun. We got to talk about a lot of soccer. So check out that show. That was fun for me. That was my cheers. But they stream. They do a great job. Rob Kerr and Jason Davis every week, 3 days a week. So check them out. Shout out to Morning Kick Around and their crew for allowing me to join them to co-host a show last week. And then jeers. I want to go back to this the referees thing for a second, because what people might not know is I was walking in front of where the Hive was, and I don't know that it was someone in the Hive or was walking past or whatever. I was walking by the Hive as the referees were exiting the field behind the goal. Somebody threw a beer can at the group of referees, and it hit me in the head. And so whether you were trying to hit me, you did, or you were trying to hit a referee, you missed and you hit me. Throwing beer cans at anybody is uncalled for. And I don't know. I didn't look up. I didn't see who it was, or banners above me anyway. I couldn't. But come on. Like, throwing anything at anybody after a game, whether you were unhappy with the referees or not, completely uncalled for. And I hope that doesn't happen in Fort Wayne again. Hit me right in the head. Let's stop, Fort Wayne. Let's stop. Okay. That's cheers and jeers. I don't want to bring an end to the show. I just wanted to highlight that it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Let's move on. We are going to take a quick break. Let me settle down from my soapbox here. We'll thank our sponsor, LaserX, and we'll get into the match recap here in just a moment.
This episode of Fort Wayne Footy is brought to you by LaserX, the Midwest's largest laser tag and arcade. They specialize in birthday parties, corporate team building, youth groups, sports teams, and family entertainment. You can find them at laserxfw.com. That's laser with a Z. And if you get over there, be sure to tell them Fort Wayne Footy sent you.
All right, we're back, and let's get into this match with Chattanooga Red Wolves. This match, if you guys remember, the first time Fort Wayne traveled to Tennessee to play Chattanooga was our first win. It was the fourth match of the season, first win. Tig Healy scores in the first 43 seconds of the match, and Fort Wayne then decided we're going to sit back. We're going to give Chattanooga the ball and see what they can do with it, because they are not a possession-heavy team. And they didn't know what to do with it. And Fort Wayne sat back and defended their goal for 89 minutes and whatever 17 seconds or whatever that is. Maybe I'm not good at math. And kept Chattanooga out of the goal. This match, complete opposite. As Fort Wayne took over possession, 69% possession Fort Wayne had in this match to 31% possession from Chattanooga. Last time it was 53-47 in Chattanooga's favor. Obviously, Fort Wayne scores first. We talked about Ryan Betcher getting on the end of a corner kick, getting his goal early in the match, late in the first half, but the earliest goal in the match. Go to halftime, and then the second half was a different story as Chattanooga came out, scored 2 goals, and Fort Wayne had their chances but couldn't finish. Micah, watching this game, Fort Wayne. We talked about this last week too. In that loss, they were on the positive side of the stat categories of almost every significant stat category except goals. What did you see in this game that was exciting to see, to watch despite the loss, that gives you hope? And maybe what do you need to see more of?
Yeah, I think first off, a 70-30 possession ratio is amazing. Anytime you can get 70% possession in any match, you're doing the right things. Defensively, Chattanooga had 2 shots on goal, 2 goals, right? Like those just brief moments. And I feel like this is kind of the same story every single week, where at least in the last 4 weeks, where it's just these few moments that we have these breakdowns. And then it's tough to come back because teams know now that they can sit deep. I think we created a handful of really good opportunities, especially in the first half. But at some point, like, we just ran out of ideas, and there are just too many players inside the 18. Now, the big change that Chattanooga made as they got into the second half was the starting position of their 2 strikers. First half, they were defending all 10 behind the ball. All 10 were within probably 25 yards of the goal. So everybody was on top of the 18. It was, we're going to park the bus. We're going to counter. Second half, their 2 forwards started sitting a little up top, and they were defending with 8 and leaving two up top, which made it a little more difficult in us having to defend on the counter. So just a small change, but I mean, really the second goal was off a corner kick. The first goal was off just a missed runner on the back post. So
it was across the back post. So neither one of the count, like, we didn't get scored on a counter at all.
Yeah, not on the counter. And I wouldn't even say that they were necessarily in the run of play either. And that's why I say it wasn't a bad performance, but the result is just tough to handle. And it 70% possession is great, but what does it lead to? Possession is fine, but is it leading to those goals? And we knew all along, like, this was kind of how the team was going to be built, that they're going to play a different style than a lot of these USL One teams do. It's great to watch, but man, I love winning, right? As I'm sure everyone does.
Can we put that on our next t-shirt?
Yes.
I love winning. Micah Middendorf.
Yep. Absolutely. I should say I hate losing more than I love winning, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I hate losing more than I love winning. So
let me ask Anthony, let me ask you this. Ash in the comments says Red Wolves are a low block team. And we made jokes last time Fort Wayne played against AV Alta at the Roo. And we joked about parking the bus, and they had everybody in the box inside the 18, and Fort Wayne couldn't score there, though they had their chances. What is it about the low block that is giving Fort Wayne fits? And how do you break that down? Like, as a coach, how do you coach to break that down? I think Avery's doing a fine job. We're getting the chances, but what does it take to break through a low block like this?
Man, Brian, if you find out, let me know, because I've been struggling at Lures with this for a little bit.
All right, Micah, let me ask you.
Yeah. No, I mean, realistically, it's frustrating for a coach, for a team. And I think a lot of it's the mental part too. Okay. Like, you're creating all these chances, and you go into them right away, and you're confident, right? That's what everybody should be out there confident. But then when it starts to fail, and then, it's one of those things where, if we can get a little bit more in the transition and keep the attack going and get it at the pace of play, instead of what I've found is sometimes it seems like we get in there, we get the ball, we'll play that negative pass, and then that gives them time to reset. Then they're back in the block. Now they're going, instead of us just being a little more brave, maybe being a little more dangerous, playing that ball that isn't perfect. Don't let them get comfortable. Okay. And then once they get block, they're comfortable. And to your point, how do you do it? We just got to keep the pace. It's frustrating. It's hard to watch sometimes, especially when you're the team that's constantly trying to put it in. But it just appears to me we are a free flowing team. And once these teams figure out, hey, we can just sit on them, kind of, it's been frustrating.
Yeah. And Micah, let me pass it back to you for a second. Then we sometimes we use terms like low block and mid block and all of this. Explain for those that aren't familiar, what is a low block that Fort Wayne was fighting against, that Chattanooga was playing so well?
Yeah, it's conceding parts of the field. So you're going to concede 80 yards, and you're just going to defend the 20 yards in front of the goal. So anytime Fort Wayne won the ball, Chattanooga just said, you know what, keep it. We're going to defend back here. We're going to defend the goal. And I think in terms of breaking it down, there's a couple ways where you can do it. And I think Fort Wayne was starting to do it in the first half, where they were trying to find feet inside the 18, trying to find a little bit of space. And there's a moment, I think, in the middle of the first half, right around the 30th minute, where they're able to find Betcher's feet. Tag ran off him. And the goalkeeper came up with a phenomenal save. 2 inches to the right, it's a different conversation right now. Fort Wayne's up 2-0, and we're coasting. Now we can sit, we can concede a little bit. Or the other way you do it is you just start pumping a ball into the box and say, you know what, I don't care about possession. We have Betcher, who's a big boy. We're going to find his head every single time. And what teams start, and to Anthony's point, where teams get comfortable, when you're attacking, the solution, some teams just want to send numbers forward, where then you have almost 18 people within an 18 by 44 area, and there's absolutely no space to do anything.
Right.
So is a solution to send more numbers? Not necessarily, but you have to just come up with a few more ideas, find feet, or just dedicate yourself to playing the ball in and trying to get someone on top of it, on the other end of it.
Yeah, so that's what we did to Chattanooga last time. Because we got the early goal, we sat back. So teams that play in a low block typically don't have much possession in a game, because they play a counter game. We get it and we go fast because we've drawn the entire team up to 20, 25 yards out. Our whole team, minus maybe one player, is in that same 20, 25 yard block, and we're going to go fast out of here in a hurry. And so that's how Chattanooga plays. They're a quick counter team, and we defended the counter well. Actually, we really did. Coach Avery said that after the game in an interview, is that he said I felt like we defended the counter well, but we lost sight of a couple things. And as you mentioned, they were, the corner, and then there was the cross to the back post that, as a maybe center back, as a goalkeeper, you go, oh, that ball's going out. And it looked like the two of them just kind of got relaxed. and let the ball go past. And they turned around, and suddenly the ball's coming right back at Bernd, and it's over his shoulder. And it was just a rough one there on that first goal. I think it was on that one. Yeah, so touches in the opposition's box is another stat you look at, and you play against a low block like this. Fort Wayne was inside 32 touches in the opponent's 18-yard box. So they were getting in, they were mixing it up, they were hitting some really tight passes in some really tight spaces, and they had 16 shots on goal, guys, 6 on target. So it wasn't for lack of chances here. I'll play part of the clip, not tonight, but we'll post it on social media. But we had an interview with Betcher after the game that wasn't expecting to be able to talk to Betcher. So when he came up, I wasn't ready for questions and just kind of stumbled over my question. It was like, but ultimately it was like, you guys are getting chances, but the finishing is not happening. Like, is that something that you guys are working on in training and whatnot? And I've heard Coach Avery, we talked about that last week too. He just says, these guys they're professionals, but again, they're young, they're 19, they're 20, they're 22, they're 24, whatever. And they're playing against guys that are 26, 28 years old. So a few more years of experience, a few more years of touching balls in tight spaces like that, like those goals are going to go in. And Fort Wayne is learning lessons in the midst of this. And so I think we've got a shot off the post. We had Musa getting tangled up inside the box. We had Betcher right in front of me at one point, got tangled up. He went up for a ball, and the defender, I forget which guy it was, grabs his arm, like hooks his arm and pulls him down. So he's like flipped over on his back, but his arm is still pinned in a different direction. Like it looked like it was really, really painful, and there was no call on that one. So that one could have been a clear penalty. So I get the shouts for poor refereeing, but in a game where you outshoot the other team 6-2 on shots on target, and you get one and they score both of theirs, is just something that I think will remedy itself. Like if Fort Wayne continues to hold the ball, have possession, outshoot their opponent, and as far as shots on target in general, touches in the box, the chances are there and they're coming. How much can you lean on inexperience, though? How much longer will you accept that excuse or whatever? Micah, Anthony, you guys can speak to that.
Yeah, I think you look at everything they're doing that leads into the result, right? Like they're checking off all the boxes. And I think from a coach standpoint, you look at it and you tell the team, like, we're doing everything right.
Yeah.
Results are important, right? But it's that process getting to the result is more important. And that's just the reality of the game. On a day like this weekend, we can do everything right and still not get the result, right? And I think that's where we're at. I think, Brian, you mentioned the sign in Mike We Trust, right? I think we're doing the right things.
Yeah.
And like I think it was Ash in the chat, he said on another day we win 3-2. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reality of it. So again, the losing streak doesn't feel good, but our margin of error is just getting smaller and smaller. We're playing well. We're doing the right things. Hopefully that'll translate into results here shortly.
Yeah. And to your point, Brian, I think inexperience is showing where, again, different levels, obviously, but you can use whatever you want. The new player to a team, they're excited. The younger kids, there's at some point experience matters. Okay, right. Where there's a time where you want them in there because they don't know really, they don't understand the magnitude of what they're doing. But then, we've been playing these young guys, so they're getting a little more comfortable. Where now we're getting figured out, and I think the second half of the season is going to be very interesting to see how, the young guys, gain the experience, but also what do we do with it? Are we gonna change it up a little bit? Are we gonna, it'll be fun.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how JP adjusts because he was kind of left on an island on that first goal, especially with him being a right back where he's not necessarily a traditional right back.
Yeah.
I would love to see him in that situation again. I would put money on the fact that he would win that ball. I think he had to see that situation. And I would like to think he's that type of player that said, you know what, this is not going to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
I learned, and we'll be better because of it.
Yeah. And Avery's talked about that we're learning lessons right now. It's a hard stretch. We're learning lessons. We're gaining valuable experience. So I guess to my point is they're doing all the right things. They've got all the possession. They've got more chances on goal, and they're having a tough stretch of games. But to Brandon's point, right? That happens to a snake bit team, but it doesn't last forever. And so my point earlier is they're playing guys that are 6-7 years older than them that have been playing in the league that much longer and gaining experience. But our guys are still getting there and still outplaying those 26, 27, 28-year-olds. And eventually those goals are going to start falling. I don't think it's going to take 4 or 5 more years for that. I think it might take 2 or 3 more games, maybe 1 more game, which means down the stretch of games, when Fort Wayne's fighting for a playoff spot, they're going to look back at these last 4 games and go, we did everything we needed to, and we couldn't get the ball in the net. Now, granted, they hit the post. They had an amazing save. Chattanooga's keeper had an amazing save. There were, penalties that weren't called, whatever. We played a team that in AV Alta, whose goalkeeper stood on his head the entire game, played incredible, and kept Fort Wayne out of the net. That's not going to happen every week. And the fact that Fort Wayne keeps pounding and grinding and getting in to the opponent's box and shelling the keeper each and every week, they're going to find the net. I have no doubts that this is going to get turned around quickly. And Fort Wayne's going to be in a good spot, maybe to go on another streak here down the stretch. And hopefully it starts in this next match coming up. I do want to ask you guys, and we don't have a ton of time to talk about it because I want to shift gears after our mid-show break and talk about this transfer window. And Lilian has now left, and what does that mean for this roster spot that he's left open? Will Fort Wayne pick somebody up? Will Fort Wayne lose anybody else? There's a few more days left in that transfer window. But Tate Healy has been a key player for this team. Right. And we talked a little bit about him last week and the week before. And the stat that's sticking in my head from Oliver Cunningham, who plays for Canterbury, was on the field there tonight, said that in every one of Fort Wayne's wins or ties, Tate Healy has had a goal or an assist. And has only had 1 assist or a goal, I think, in any other losses. He's been shut down recently. Is he the linchpin? Is he the key player that makes everything tick? That if he can score, the rest of the team can score? Or is he still doing what he's been doing and we're just not finding the net?
I think we have to go back and look at how he's scoring the goals. I think there's been a few goals that came off broken plays where he was in the right place at the right time, which you can't coach that instinct. Right. That just means that one, we're getting opportunities, which we are, and he's putting himself in the right spot. But I think 1 or 2 of those goals were on a counter as well, where we were able to play out quickly and not let the teams,
recover,
set up recover and create their low block. So I think he's that streaky player that, yes, he is a linchpin, which means that we're picking our moments and we're finishing our opportunities. So I think that is a very valuable stat. That part of Chattanooga's game plan is, hey, don't let Tate Healy behind. If he gets it, we're recovering and we're going to defend with numbers.
Yeah, clearly, to Micah's point, the team, it does seem like our offense is running through him one way or another, which we've talked about. But yeah, we have to get other guys going or find a way to, we have to get him back in it. And just, I guess, give him a couple more tools, to his toolkit and see what we can do.
Yeah. The one I've been impressed with that I think is going to, I joked 2 weeks ago, there's going to be his breakout game, is Clarence Awudor. I think he played a phenomenal match again this last week on Saturday. I think he was getting in. He was a guy finding shots at the top of the 18. He was sending passes to tag for some shots. He was putting balls across. He was playing solid defense. I really love seeing Clarence Awudor's progression this season. And I do think he's going to have a breakout game where he's going to put a couple goals in. He hit an upper 90 shot the keeper just outstretched for. It was beautiful. I've been waiting all season. And maybe I've said it on the show. Maybe I've kept it to myself on the show and talked about it, at the game or whatever. But I've been waiting to see a player who consistently can shoot accurately from 20, 25 yards. Mm-hmm. We've had a few shots from there, and that maybe that's not Fort Wayne's style because they get inside the box and they get so many touches inside the box. But to have a threat from outside the box is something I've been waiting for. And Clarence has shown that, I think, a couple of times this season. And so I'm waiting for him to have a breakout game and just start putting balls in the back of the net because he's dishing, he's playing defense. His work rate's incredible. Looking forward to seeing him continue to develop. Let's wrap up this segment of the show and this recap of the Chattanooga Red Wolves match by naming our Fort Wayne Footy man of the match. And this week, you've heard his name. We've talked about it already. The goal scorer, Ryan Betcher. Congratulations on your man of the match performance. Micah, Anthony, anything you guys want to say specifically about Betcher's performance in this match?
I think the ship is yours, Ryan. Like it is now your job, your role. Let's get some more goals going forward.
Yeah, we're looking for somebody to step up, and he did right away. I mean, that's what we want.
Love to see it, Ryan. Congratulations. We will get your token and your card to you the next time we see you. After this short break, we are going to get into talk of Lilian Ricol's move to San Antonio FC. We'll talk about the open transfer window for a couple more days and what that could mean for Fort Wayne FC and what it could mean for us as fans of this team and these players and for this season and beyond. Right after this break.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Dead One Pest Control. If you've been looking for a local pest control service in Fort Wayne and surrounding communities, look no further than Dead One Pest Control. They work with both residential and commercial clients to get rid of all types of pests, including those dreaded bed bugs. No job is too big or small for them to handle, so you can count on their capable crew for whatever local pest control service you need. Reach out today to schedule an appointment at deadonepestcontrol.com. And remember, the only good pest is a dead one. And if you're looking for tree service of any kind, including removal, trimming, stump grinding, or landscaping, check out R&T Tree Experts. Just visit their website, fill out their estimate request form, and be sure to tell them Fort Wayne Footy sent you to receive 10% off your service.
Ash is in the chat. I meant to get to this comment earlier. Last game of the season versus Boise. Winner gets 8th spot, and I'm here for it. Ash, I don't want to wait that long. I want to make sure we have a playoff spot secured before that last season. Will it make it exciting? 100%. Just like that excitement to be maybe a little bit earlier in the season. A few more here before we get into this Lilian conversation. Oliver's in the chat saying, no, it's not really relevant, but Canterbury just defeated Concordia 2-1. Thanks for that score update. But I know who scored the one goal.
There we go.
Yep.
Who scored the one goal? One Luka Middendorf. Some shout outs for Awudor again from Christina, who's phenomenal and so clutch so many times, even if it didn't result in the goal he's itching for, and that'll come. And then Ryan getting a chant in the Hive is all you need to know about how we feel about him. Ryan Betcher there. Absolutely. Let's get into this conversation. Late last week, it was announced that Lilian Ricol was transferred to San Antonio FC for a quote unquote near record USL League One transfer fee, which got me very excited, gentlemen. Thinking about the young players that Fort Wayne is bringing in with the plan to move them on to a higher league. And the first one that gets a near record transfer fee. That's exciting no matter what. What's a transfer fee, you ask? Well, It's a little bit different than other sports where people can trade players or whatever. Essentially, in soccer, you're buying a player from one team to join your team, and you're paying the other team for him. Essentially, there's more to it, but essentially that's the transfer fee. So San Antonio FC pays Fort Wayne FC a near record transfer fee purchase Lilian Ricol to come and play for them. Now, I started doing some digging, guys, and got really excited because what I found initially was that the record USL League One transfer fee was $225,000. Okay. Sounds like a lot when you look at the fact that USL League One, we talked about this early in the season, their rosters usually are only about $1 million in total, like salaries. And that's a quarter of that, right? I continued to do some digging and I found out that was absolutely wrong. That was not the case. $225,000 was a bit much, actually, guys. In fact, what I found, the highest officially recorded transfer fee, officially recorded. Now, this is not the highest transfer fee. That one is undisclosed, and it's some number out there that nobody officially knows. But the highest officially recorded transfer fee in League One history is $20,000.
So are we talking Ferrari money or is this Toyota Corolla money? Like what
it feels like Toyota Corolla money, but consider the league that it's in and the market for it, right? The market dictates the players' fees, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is rumored that that was, I forget what that one was, the 20,000 officially recorded. The reported record fee was for Ryan Jiba, who was bought from Union Omaha in 2023 to play for Minnesota United. That amount, that was the record transfer fee. It's yet still undisclosed. No one knows it officially. You do some digging and you found that someone in Reddit reports it, did some money, like trying to figure things out, right? Money trail research and found that it might be around 50K. All right. So a near record, let's assume 50K is the record transfer fee, right? It's a near record. So Fort Wayne gets, let's say, 40 grand, right? 45 grand for Lilian Ricol. We now have a roster spot open, $45,000, which that doesn't all go to everything, to the club specifically. There's other things that goes to, right? But we don't have the salary that they're paying Lilian Ricol for the rest of the season. So they have that money freed up. What does Fort Wayne do with that? Do they sit on this and have an open roster spot the rest of the season? Or do you anticipate the transfer window's open until August 21st? Do you anticipate Fort Wayne has an eye on somebody that they're bringing in? Or what are you guys thinking?
I mean, I think our roster is just getting smaller and smaller as the year goes on.
Yes, it is.
You know, we lost Ian Abbey. I think
Trace Terry,
now Ricol. So from a coaching standpoint, maybe the plan was that we have cover. We have Ryan Betcher waiting in the wings, who's had, I'd say, very limited opportunities this year. If we give up Ricol, we have someone to step in. So we have coverage. But then you also have to look at a bottom line. At the end of the day, this is a business, and businesses exist to make money. You look at the first year with the stadium opening late. I'm sure that was a financial hit. You know, they finally just opened up the beer garden and the bar underneath the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Not having that probably affected sales. So, you know, I think that this is one, coverage. We have players that can step in, and two, I think it was a financial move. And Lilian, being a first-year pro, I think his goal has always been to play at the highest level. So I think there's a personal side about it that Avery and Scott Sprout and Ollie Gage probably had the conversations with him. Like, we want you to get to the highest level possible. That's been in our business model this whole way. Do you want this move? So I think there's a lot more to it than just like, yeah, we gotta use Silverado out of it or whatever. So.
Yeah. So there's a lot of comments here in the chat.
They're up quick on this one.
Yeah, they're coming up quick on this one. Anthony, do you want to respond before I put any of these comments up, or any of these trigger anything that you want to talk about?
I'll respond real quick. I would, if I'm the club, I guess I'll go two ways. If I'm the club, I would sit. At this point, I'm sitting on it. I feel like we have the replacement. Let's just kind of see how it goes. All right.
So you're not filling that roster spot?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
Now
we want a Woodor to step in. We're waiting for Fletcher. Like, we're calling for these players, but they haven't had opportunities. So I think this is great for the club that we have space for them to open up and play.
And I think it's also, as a fan, it's a even though it's our first season, I think it's a great wake up call of like, hey, this is what it is. Like Micah said, you are in business to make money. So I mean, this is the business that we have decided to support. So yeah, get used to it. Really is what the message is.
Yeah, as I reflect on this, right, Fort Wayne FC has played in USL League 2 for the last 5 years. We're used to players coming and used to new players coming the next season, right? And there's a lot of time, there's a lot of space, there's a lot of gap in between there. So Fort Wayne has known players, they've gotten tight with players, they've been excited about these players who didn't come back the next year. We've already played longer than USL League 2 season. Like, we played 2 or 3 times as long as a typical USL League 2 season. We've gotten more attached to players, right? We've gotten to know, we've seen them on the show here once or twice. Personally, we've seen them at training. We've seen them after games, before games, at fan events. Like, we've had more opportunity to get to know players. And the longer the season goes, that's going to happen. And the more time Fort Wayne plays here at the Roo, the more that's going to happen, right? It is going to be sad, right, to see, you get tied up and you get attached to these players. But the goal has always been get them here, develop them, and move them on, right? Mm-hmm. So I think for us as fans to get our head around that and go, we can still love and support these players. We can still get attached to these players. But at what point, at what point do maybe some fans just get so attached and their favorite players just keep leaving and they're like, what am I doing now? Is that going to happen? Do you think? Are we attached to players, or do we love this team regardless of who's playing for it, even if it's different at the end of the season than it was at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, Brian, that's a good point. Like, we love Ricol. We can still love him playing in San Antonio, right? It's just a reality of the business that players are going to come, players are going to go. And this fits exactly with what Coach Avery said at the very start. You think about bringing a player in. Do we want to bring a player in just to bring someone in? Or are we looking at someone that's better than Ryan Betcher, who's probably been busting his tail all year, deserves an opportunity? Clarence Owudor, we mentioned him. Tay Keeley, he can step up, right? So this opens the door to a lot of these players. And at this point in the season, are we going to find someone better than those guys? Especially look at how we've recruited. Majority of those guys are first year out of college. Whether they're NAI, the college season just started. So there's not going to be any opening for the type of player that the Fort Wayne FC wants. Unless I heard DeMarcus Beasley is available. I mean, if you want to sell tickets,
yeah, there you go.
Let's get Bees back on the field. Landed down, we can go with all the guys, but can we find someone better than Ryan Betcher? And if we can, why didn't we sign him in the first place?
Yeah.
Actually, something you just said, Micah, that I never thought about was a recruiting tool. I mean, a lot of these players are first year out of college. Like, hey, look, we moved, first year we moved one already, it's a near record transfer fee. Like, if again, the model of what we're trying to do has been, I feel like, communicated very well to the supporters. And so yeah, it's just kind of getting on board with it.
Yeah. And Coach Avery was asked about this. I think it was on Fort Wayne FC's press release on their website about Ricol leaving and going to San Antonio. And ultimately he said it's proof of concept. This was our plan all along. And we've done it in halfway through the first season. We've moved someone into a new league. And so again, success breeds success. If you can continue to bring people in, develop them, and within a season move a player or two onto a higher league, into another place, USL Championship, MLS, maybe overseas somewhere. This is a place that young players will continue to want to play. Very much like, I think I said it last week, Borussia Dortmund, right? Like young stars go there, they buy them low and they sell them high, right? And Fort Wayne FC could be that in USL League One. You continue to get young stars, continue to have successful teams, and continue to move people on. Check this out. Lilian,
look at that.
Congrats, Lilian, on your move. And a big hug for Christina. He says, thanks for joining us, man.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're sad to see you go, but we wish you all the best in your future career there in San Antonio and beyond. And he's like, his ceiling is high, right, guys? I think he told us when he was on the show he was expected to be drafted by New England in Major League Soccer, and that didn't happen. And so he's got his eyes up, looking, and I think his ceiling is high. And so again, this is proof of concept for Fort Wayne FC. Will we see another player go in this window? I was surprised by the first one, but it makes me think maybe there's more. I don't know. Maybe there's not. Maybe there is. I did some internet sleuthing, like I like to do, and found that maybe there is a player that they have their eye on that can step in as a forward. You can do your own internet sleuthing. I'm not going to share anything that I've learned so far because I could be totally wrong, and I don't want to break that here on the show. But there is a chance maybe. And Coach Avery was asked the other night that is there someone that you have your eye on? He goes, yeah, we're always looking at people, and so there may or may not. We're not sure yet how this is going to go. So there may be someone out there, and will they fill Lilian Ricol's shoes? Probably not. But there'll be a different player. There'll be a different style, and maybe continue the attacking presence that Lilian left behind when he stepped away. So, so we talked about what this means for the club. We talked about what this means for the fans. The transfer window, as I mentioned a couple times already on the show, is open until August 21st, and then September 8th there's a roster freeze. No more transfers. No more fees, no more purchasing players, no more even interleague trades, player for player, things like that. Roster freeze is September 8th. So whatever Fort Wayne does to fill these roster spots that are open and left behind by guys like Trace Terry and Ian Abbey and now Lilian Ricol, it ends September 8th no matter what. Roster freeze, you finish out the last month and a half of the season with who you have at that point. That's midnight on September 8th. Let me go back because there were some comments here in the chat that I didn't want to overlook. I want to get to this because they're talking money, a lot of them. Tough hit for the short term, but long term is huge. That money will be reinvested back into the team and will help with recruiting young guys. Absolutely. Again, so you look at the market, right? And the market may only be $40,000 for a player. But if you look at an entire roster that's $1 million, maybe just over $1 million, I don't know what Fort Wayne is. That's the league average. It still gives you a decent chunk of money for the next player, right? Ash says the whole transfer doesn't make sense. Halfway through our inaugural season, money wasn't groundbreaking. Was there unrest in the squad? Why not wait till the end of the season? I don't know about that. Even if there was, if there wasn't, I don't know that it matters. I think it's proof of concept. There was an opportunity for a player to move into another place, and the opportunity was there. Let's take advantage of it. It's good for him, and it's good for the team, for young players. Christina says a player whose fans are mourning him leaving just means he was well loved and worth every single penny of that trade deal. 100%. I think that's the shout for the hug from Lilian later in the chat. Ash says if we got to playoffs with Ricol, a home playoff game would sell out and we could buy 10 Ricols. Who knows? I don't know. But again, I think the market determines the value of the player. Unfortunately, was he worth more than that? Probably so. But time will tell. And the way these things go, sometimes it's written in contracts. If he gets moved on from San Antonio, maybe Fort Wayne gets a cut of that.
That's what I was about to ask.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was my next question.
Yeah. So go ahead with that. Like, what's your thinking on that, Anthony?
So I like to what Brian was saying. I've heard before that, okay, you, especially like the younger contracts from these teams is, okay, if you get signed from Fort Wayne FC, we have, a certain percentage of whatever as for either a certain amount of years or a certain amount of contracts or however it is. But that's really where the kickbacks come in is, hey, San Antonio, they got Lilian, and now, somebody bigger buys him from there, and then we get a percentage of whatever that transfer fee is also trickles down. So that 40, 45, whatever the assumed number is, evolves into whatever.
Yep. So there could be benefits down the road of this. Again, I don't know what.
See that one? Lilian might be able to answer.
Yeah. Hey, if you got a question for Lilian, he'd be happy to answer, guys. A lot of fun stuff in the chat that we haven't even really gotten to. Christina says we've lost so many players with not a lot of backfilling. Makes me really nervous. All it takes is a couple back injuries, and where does that leave us? So yeah, to that point, we've seen players like Ryan Betcher get opportunity, Clarence Awudor stepping up. Like Clarence goes down. He had rolled his ankle or did something early on in the season. So he fought through injury early on. Betcher fought through injury early on. And so, it's going to be a challenge.
You saw it on there.
I did. Yeah. I just read the comment. So a couple injuries could make a world of difference here. And oh man,
now he's gonna get out of this thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
A pretty nice Mercedes, he says. Okay, awesome. It wasn't a Toyota Corolla. It was a pretty nice Mercedes.
Confirmed.
Awesome. Good answer there, Lilian. Guys, let's move on. We're getting near the top of the hour. This has been a fun conversation. If you have questions, comments about the show, about the transfer fee, about the possibility of more players coming and going in the next couple of days, let us know. If it's past time and we're not live anymore, send us an email to info@fortwaynefooty.com. Hit us up on social media. Always available on Messenger, Instagram, whatever. Find us wherever you are active, and we love to engage offline as well. So hit us up. Check out the 260 Soccer Show. We hinted at that earlier in the episode tonight. 260 Soccer Show does a great job of covering local soccer beyond Fort Wayne FC, the local high school, college game. There's going to be a lot of high school and college games at the Roo this season in the PSM ONE soccer series of high school games at Ruoff Mortgage Stadium. I'm excited because I get to coach on that field. Anthony, I know you get to coach on that field. Mike, you get to coach on that field too. Yeah.
September 29th.
Okay.
August 27th. Got to throw that one out there.
You got the first one, right?
We have the first one. Yep.
First game. So you get to break it in and figure out all the kinks for the rest of us. So, adios, Lilian. Thanks for joining us on the show tonight. Thanks for joining us in the chat. Appreciate you tuning in, man. We'll be following you from a distance now and wishing you all the best.
Yep.
But yeah, these high school college games, they're going to talk about that a little bit more on the 260 soccer show, that too, next week. And Garrett March from Fort Wayne FC will be joining them to talk about that series of games and how that all has come together. So really excited about that. And we'll have a little bit of a break here, gentlemen, between games, because there was a South Georgia Tormenta game that we were supposed to have next weekend that is no longer, because as you know, they are no longer in the league. So Fort Wayne has a bit of a rest to recover, regroup from these 4 games they've dropped, and I imagine they're going to come out stronger than ever in that match. Well, we got a Portland Hearts of Pine match away. Let's not skip that. I'm talking when they come back to the Roo. They got a tough game out in Portland, but when they come back to the Roo, I think they'll be back and better than ever. And so we're excited about that. We do have a ticket giveaway for that September 2nd game back at the Roo. The link is in the live chat. Go ahead, check that out. Share that link with a friend. Invite a friend to follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're at 349 subscribers. Man, if we get to 400 before that ticket giveaway, we would be on fire, and you can be part of that. And man, I've left the man of the match banner up for far too long in this episode. Guys, let's move on to our final thoughts tonight, presented by Mad Apple Fitness. Micah, give us your final thoughts.
I actually have 2 thoughts. First one is just
you've got a whole week ahead of you, Micah. Don't waste both of them.
Proof of concept. I think the club knows exactly who they are. They had a plan, and they're executing that plan. So you can't say that this Ricol transfer is coming out of nowhere, right? This was always part of the plan. Secondly, the messaging that Mike Avery has shared all year long, this is who we are. This is the way we want to play. We're not going to play into this USL standard. We're going to play this way. And regardless of results, they are staying with it. And I love having a manager that comes out and says, you know what? I know it would be easy for us to shift, but this is the plan. This is what we laid out. We're going to continue this way. I appreciate that. And that's why I'm convinced that these losses that we've had, they're going to turn into wins here really quickly, because we know exactly who we are. We know what our jobs are.
And if the low block is a thing that continues to stop them, they're going to continue to push and find a way through it.
Yep. On any other day, we would have won that game.
Yep. Anthony, final thoughts.
Yep. Kind of piggybacking on Mike, I feel like we're a real club. Like, I mean, we have transfers now. Like, it's fun. This is when it gets fun for somebody like me, who this is always the fun part overseas with the transfer window and in and out, who's going where. It's pretty cool that it actually is happening here. So for me, it's kind of full circle for the team. I know it's rushed for some people, first season of in USL One and all that, but let's just get it out of the way and do it now. With that being said, let's not get crazy and sell a lot more players in this first window. Okay. But yeah, it's just fun to do it. And we're a real club. Like, we're actually doing it here in Fort Wayne. It's cool.
Yeah. I think to jump on that same idea, that will continue that thread with my final thought, is I'm interested to see how Fort Wayne continues to build this roster. Like, they were very successful this first season, and we're not even through the season yet. So successful that one player has already moved on. The proof of concept has already shown itself to work, right? And so how do they backfill the roster now? That's what I'm interested. Will a new player come in? If another player leaves, I don't know if that will happen or not. I just won't be surprised, because we've seen the first one. The first one surprised me. The second one, we know they're doing it. They're looking, and there's some talented players on this team that, unfortunately, if it happens, I would hate it, but I wouldn't be surprised by it because of the talent on this roster. How do they backfill it now? In the next couple of days, maybe interleague trades before September 8th. They know who they are, but will the additional pieces that they may or may not bring in gel and fill those spots and continue to be part of this team to carry them down the stretch? that's what I'm watching for. This last third of the season is how they fill those spots, and then next year how they continue to reload and rebuild this roster. So exciting stuff ahead. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Fort Wayne Footy. Had a lot of good interaction in the chat. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for Lilian Ricol. Thanks to Lilian Ricol for stopping by, saying hello, and joining us in the chat for a little bit tonight. If you are listening, you have news to report of Fort Wayne FC specifically, or high school or college, anything that maybe we've missed on one of our shows, let us know. Send us an email to info@fortwaynefooty.com or leave us a message on any of our socials, as we talked about before. And we'll see you next Monday night. That's full time for this episode of Fort Wayne Footy.